Right. What's in progress?
Nothing.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Got to start over? Okay. All right. There's a lot of origin stories. Some of the most beautiful origin stories for me are Spider Woman. That's I've heard it told from Laguna Pueblo woman Paula Gunn Allen. And what's so beautiful about Spider Woman, I won't tell the whole story because it's not my story, but what's so beautiful about Spider Woman is that she creates the cosmos from her belly. She spins it from her belly. And to me, that feels so whole, so beautiful, so feminine, so pleasing. And we all have an umbilical cord. So we all can relate to kind of how that feeling is. But there's another story that is from the Greco-Roman tradition, which is Empedocles, which is very important for this talk. And Empedocles spoke about the origin of the cosmos as the four roots. Later on, people said that was the four elements. And that's their interpretation, but Empedocles actually only said the four roots, and he named them after gods and goddesses, Zeus, Hera, Nestes, and Adonis. And it's these when the cosmos comes into being, these four roots are accompanied by love. Love is what connects all the elements together, or the roots. Love is what keeps everything whole. But the cosmos, according to Empedocles, wasn't quite finished until strife comes into the picture. And ever since, love tends to beget strife, strife tends to beget love. And that's the way that we roll. But, whenever you're in distress, whenever you're feeling discouraged about anything in the world, love has the potential to heal. Love can bring you back to healing, back to wholeness. Okay, I think I'm going to move on to reading a little bit from chapter 9, Awakening the Soul Through Love. This part, the last time I was in Taos on a writing retreat, and I love Taos so much that I love to come here for writing. And I thought I had just finished part 2 of the book, and I thought I was just taking a break. So I went out to this wonderful place. It turned out to be the beginning of part 3. Awakening, and the chapter is called Awakening the Soul Through Love. I was heading north from Taos, New Mexico on a cold winter's day when I suddenly turned like a homing pigeon toward one of my favorite places. I was not just headed toward the Rio Grande Gorge, but to a specific spot overlooking the gorge known as Junta Point. Junta in Spanish means joining. This is the location where the Rio Grande and Red River come together in a sacred confluence, one of the more striking places on the planet. Once I turn off the road, I meander north on a deserted road with wide open skies. This is an excellent opportunity to spy eagles and hawks. But it is the ground that gets my attention. It seems to be shifting below my feet. And perhaps it is. The land here has powerful kinetic energy. Volcanic flows, earthquakes, and the shifting of tectonic plates form this unusual terrain millennia ago. It is not the river who carved out this canyon. Mother Earth opened her arms in a welcoming gesture, and the river followed. Today, the land is split apart in a giant rift, and I can sense the divide before I even glimpse it. It is a unique sensation to feel the mesa narrowing as I approach the canyon. I am tingling in anticipation. The source of the Rio Grande is not far from here in the San Juan Mountains of southern Colorado. The source of the Red River is even closer at Wheeler Peak, the highest mountain in New Mexico at over 13,000 feet. Both rivers are wild and powerful at the confluence, Each brings their own strength to this joining. The base of the canyon is nearly 1,000 feet down, but you can hear the rivers roaring from the top. From the bottom, the sound is deafening. I know. I once climbed all the way down to pay my respects. I remember going to the bottom as if it were yesterday. To descend into a canyon is to travel through time, as each layer of the rock is from a different era. Mother Earth is permitting us to see inside her. Her history is exposed for all to see. I've walked partway down several times since. That seems to be enough for me now. It is the dimension of depth that makes me love this place so much. All of New Mexico is wide open plains and mountains, but the gorge adds another dimension. I feel so blessed to be here. On this cold January day, I am the only human present. I have the place to myself. So I take my time. I say a prayer of gratitude, making an offering of tobacco. I gaze down at the confluence for the longest time, mesmerized by the light dancing of the waters. Both rivers are glittering, but the Rio Grande shines the brightest. I stare at it, transfixed. Suddenly, a swirl of moss approach. They don't look like moss. They look like angels. Fluttering around, blessing me, the water, gorge, trees, animals. Why are there moths in January? That's not supposed to happen. Must be magic. The moths seem happy. Maybe they know how special this place is. I thank them for their presence. Turning away, I look everywhere around me, taking in the panoramic view. The canyon walls are partly covered in snow. The gentle late afternoon light produces an array of shadows on the cliffside. The partly cloudy skies are tinted golden red. It takes my breath away. Now, I wanted to read a little more, but I'm not. What I will do, though, in hopefully about 5 or so minutes, is tell you the story of Psyche and Eros. The reason why I started this is because this chapter is called Awakening the Soul Through Love. And the story of Psyche and Eros really, really does that so beautifully. But it's very interesting that Psyche in Greek means butterfly. You see Psyche portrayed with the butterfly wings, but it also can mean moth. It also can mean moth. So I think it was very preordained that those moths showed up that day. And I have the video I can show you later. There really were moths there in January. So anyway, the myth of Psyche begins with her birth. You know, she's an extraordinarily beautiful, beautiful maiden, and she's the daughter of the king and queen. And she's so beautiful that Aphrodite is alarmed and a little offended, because who is this mortal coming to challenge me? You know, so and the funny thing about it is that Psyche's beauty is so overwhelming that what happens for her is that all it does is awe. It does not attract. In fact, she grows very lonely. So her father is worried about her and calls on an oracle to find out what's going to be Psyche's fate. And the oracle comes back and says, horrifying news that Psyche is destined to be the bride of death. Wow. And so she's clothed in her ceremonial clothing or funereal clothing, and they all march to the highest crag on the mountain, and they are there to await Psyche's fate. They think that she's going to die then. But see, that's when Eros intervenes. Aphrodite asked Eros to come there because she wanted Eros to shoot Psyche with one of his arrows, because then she would fall in love with the first man that she saw, no matter how vile or homely or whatever. But Eros, when he sees Psyche, he is overcome with her beauty. And he accidentally takes some of his arrows and he pricks himself with them, and he falls in love with Psyche, which completely changes her fate. She was going to die. Now, Eros takes her away, and he takes her to a very special place, a place that is really no place. It's like a liminal space between the worlds. And there he makes her bed. And then, in the middle of the night, every night, Eros comes to make beautiful love to Psyche. And Psyche is enthralled. Psyche is falling in love, but this is not a full, mature love. This is an erotic love. And it's also very vexing to Psyche that she cannot see who this perfect lover is. She's not permitted to see him. And so she asks advice from her sisters. And her sisters, who are very jealous, they tell her that Eros must be a monster and that she should light the lamp. She should light a lamp and see him in the dark of night. And Psyche, not wanting to stay in the dark any longer, takes the advice of her sisters. She lights the lamp. And Jean Houston would say that the lamp symbolizes the remembrance for men. The remembrance, it's women that are the ones who get men to remember deeply. So she lights this lamp. But Eros is displeased with this. She has done what you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to be seen by a god. And so Eros says he must leave. And Psyche is absolutely devastated. She's in the dark night of the soul. She calls out for all the gods. None of the gods want to, offend Aphrodite. They do offer their support, but they don't want to offend Aphrodite, so they're careful. So Psyche is really just about completely falling apart. And what happens next is that Aphrodite actually enters the picture. And Aphrodite gives her 4 labors to do. I call them the 4 labors of love. The first one is to separate seeds. She has to separate a gigantic mound of seeds before morning. But there's no way that she could do this. So she prays for help. And out of that prayer comes an army of ants. And they separate the seeds. And they do it in the allotted time. I'm forgetting the second one. Yes. And the second one is she's told to gather the fleece of rams. Now, the ram is a completely masculine symbol of power. And so she is beside herself. She has no idea what to do until a reed comes out from the river, and a reed tells her that she must go in the dark of night. And all she has to do is go where the rams have been brushing against the trees. So she goes to the bushes and she gathers up the fleece from the bushes without ever disturbing the ram's sleep. This is a really beautiful use of feminine power. Then her third task is to gather the waters of life. And the waters of life, which actually feed the underworld, are up on the highest mountain, the highest crag. And she's given a crystal vessel to retrieve these waters, but she has no way of getting up there. No way at all. In fact, that crag is surrounded by dragons who are making sure that nobody goes there. But Zeus sends an eagle, and the eagle says, "I can do this. I can go up there with the crystal vessel." He grabs it with his talons. He says, "In fact, I can go where the gods can't go." And so the eagle goes up, and he gets the sacred waters and comes down. And of course, the eagle is a symbol of masculine power. So Psyche is using both her deep femininity and her masculine powers. Then the fourth one, okay, I'm not going to do the fourth one because I want to open it up. But I'll just tell you, the fourth one takes a long time and is the most impossible task. But I'll just leave that one hanging because I do want to hear from you, and I would like anybody to speak and share what you're thinking, what you're feeling. I could give you a question. I think I will. What awakens your soul? And if you will, another question, what can you do to make the world a more loving place? Thank you very much. You're gonna have to, I don't know, read the book or no. The story is you guys can provide the ending. Tell us how you think it ended. What do we do with microphones? Do we have
You can hand it, yeah.
But all right. You think so?
Yes.
Only if I untangle it. By the way, quantum entanglement. My dear friend Phil Duran, who is in the spirit world now, who's a Tigua, Native American physicist, because of the fact of Bell's theorem, when one particle goes, it separates from another, no matter how far apart they go, they always stay connected in inverse relationship. He said that quantum entanglement means I shall always be your Valentine. Okay, who wants to speak?
Your two questions. I know the second one was, how do you bring love to the world?
What awakens your soul? And what can you do to make the world a more loving place? Because it starts with each and every one of you. Jenny Bird has already given you all the clues you might need.
Each morning when I wake up, I try to remember to give gratitude. And that seems to open my heart chakra. And it's more light. So when I go out into the community, and offer a smile, I feel like I'm sharing that light and love to them.
Thank you.
Yay, Marty.
Who else? Me.
I have a practice where when I get on the road, I say to myself, everyone out here is doing the absolute best that they can. And every single person is worthy of love. And then I bow my head toward my heart, and I feel this pouring of emotion that comes through my heart and my eyes, and it's definitely love. And I feel love for anybody and everybody.
Beautiful.
I think someone in the back wanted.
Oh yeah. Chris. Awesome. Yeah, come on up.
Thank you. Just one of the first things that I kind of do just as a gratitude in the morning, and kind of gives me a direction, is the four direction song by Lakota. And it's only a 3-minute, really short song, but it basically starts my day out so I can give Creator my direction of where the highest purpose of where I'm trying to go, the mission that I'm trying to go. And also just what gets me kind of going in the morning is just the fact that I know that life is just so full of surprises. Like I said, I didn't even know I was going to be here this week. So it's always, life is just always a wonderful experience. Sometimes it can be a little bit, and you just got to shake it off, wait a little bit, be patient, let your spirit and your body come back together. Because if you don't have all this connecting, that means you're in disorder, and things are not getting done. So that's why I always say what's most important is getting your direction and purpose for yourself first. That way you can basically just gravitate to the people that you want to come next into your life, and the highest purpose. So I just thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Chris.
Mhm.
Thank you for coming. Pretty awesome.
Someone told me that the highest form of communion with God is tears.
Thank you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
I don't very often speak, but on that note, I feel compelled to share. What opens me to my soul is grief. And I lost my husband of almost 50 years 9 months ago. And all the old structures that I used in life no longer work. And it's kind of hard to breathe, actually. And so I have to open myself to whatever comes along that can help me take the next breath. And so Glenn, I'd like to thank you for helping me take some breaths here this morning. I feel connected to all the people that are suffering in the world in a way that I haven't before. The world is on fire, and I'm on fire. And I feel like I'm being transformed into something I have no clue what's going to emerge. All I can do is try to stay open to it. And your other question about how can I share love in the world is, I feel like is to be more loving myself. And I'm learning more about how to do that. And I would just like to share, one of my favorite spiritual teachers, Stephen Levine, many years ago said, Stephen, somebody said to him, Stephen, you're so loving. How did you get to be so loving? And he answered, by being so unloving. And I can resonate with that now. I'm learning to be more loving from being unloving. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Before, did you want? I'm gonna. Okay. No, you speak. If you want to speak. I have fun.
I have a few books of poetry, and one poem is called Fork in the Frame. And the frame is the moment. Each moment we have a fork, we can choose to think of ourselves as the most important, or to serve the whole. And so when you spoke, it inspired me to rethink this idea when you asked the question, what awakens you to love? That to wake up in the morning and just keep waking up all day, just continue to wake up, is a new interpretation I have for this poem.
Very, very beautiful. I I just want to say one thing, and then I want to ask Mike Three Bears if he can say a closing prayer, since he'll be the speaker next week. I was very moved that you said, well, everyone said, when you spoke about tears being the highest form of love. Remind me of my dear friend Carol Hart, who was one of the producers of the 1970s album called Free to Be You and Me. And in it, she asked a New York Giants football player, Rosie Greer, who sang the song, "It's okay to cry, might make you feel better." Okay, it was quite beautiful. Okay, hand it to Mike for the closing prayer. Thank you.
I should have been prepared, but I'm not. Glenn frequently asks me to do this, but I'm gonna invoke what for me is meaningful. You should put in whatever you feel is meaningful in terms of something beyond you. And I'm gonna invoke with creator, great spirit, great mystery, and great magic. And great magic to me is manifestation. That's what we want to manifest stuff in this world. But add into that, if you want to go in any divine name or anything beyond yourself, that's really what we want to do. We want to connect with this all around us. So creator, great spirit, great mystery, great magic. What a blessing it is to hear Glenn speak. I've known Glenn since 2010, and he always is a very loving person. So I'm thankful for him being here. I'm grateful that we can experience being together as a group. We can experience the divine passing through us. We're not that, but we are that. So I really invoke all this divinity that we may become that. Many different practices here, meditators, Christians, Buddhists, whatever it is, it's all about love, the love of the divine. So I'm grateful, Creator, for that love of the divine, that we can relate to you and experience you. Oh,
Thank
you.
Oh, love, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true. Thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary of love for you. Oh, love, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and thanksgiving. Will be a living sanctuary, love for you. Being the sanctuary of love, whatever shows up any given moment. It's this community of love. We're going to sing our love song. Now there is love on earth, and it has begun with me. Now there is love on earth, the love that was meant to be. With all our relations, loved ones all are we. Now I walk with my family in perfect harmony. Love has begun with me, and this is a moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment in love eternally. Now there is love on earth, and it has begun with me. We are the love and the presence wherever we are. Love is, and all is well. Be well in the world, spread that love around. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Thank you so much.